everybody. Welcome to the very first Nerdgasmic podcast. I'm Noah. I'm one of the bros. This is Hong. He's a bro too. Over to my Mo associate, Eric.
Hey, and we got Tom here, who's also one of our Mo's. And basically, we want this show to be a safe haven for all you geeks and misfits and nerds who are really tired of the homophobia and the sexism and the blatant stupidity that pretty much runs rampant all over the internet. We want to offer intelligent discussions and sometimes not so intelligent discussions and naughty things and God knows what else, but we want to be different from everyone else that's out there, and hopefully we will succeed at that.
And maybe slight nudity.
And maybe slight nudity. I'm sure that will happen later. Okay. I feel this is the perfect time for the show to come out now because as a gay nerd, I've encountered lots of homophobia on the internet, and I don't really feel like there's a place for, gay nerds or gay-friendly nerds or, basically anyone that's not a mouth breather. So, hopefully this show will be that.
So, Tom, what do you bring to the show?
What I'm going to bring is a combination of elements which I like to encapsulate in a brief synopsis, including a paradigm which includes the intellectual ravings of Carlos Castaneda, Joseph Campbell, and the ever ubiquitous Debbie Matenopoulos.
Colin, what do you look at that camera and tell them what you bring to the show?
Shut up, guys.
Guys, stop.
Stop it. Being an Asian guy and being a geek, I've noticed that a lot of what I like to call gook phobia out on the internet, and I just like to bridge that gap here. Yellow's a beautiful color.
It's gorgeous.
And I guess basically I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm probably the most vanilla out of everybody here, so I like mainstream crap. I can admit to that. I surround myself with diversity. All these guys are all my friends, and I appreciate how they're like me, and I appreciate how they're different, and that's really what I think the whole premise of the show should be about. Is we all kind of like similar stuff, and we all come at it from different angles and from different points of view, and let's celebrate that and talk about that and talk about why we like things, why we don't like things, and where all that kind of came from, whether it comes from somebody's culture or it comes from somebody's sexuality. It doesn't really matter.
This last few weeks ago, we went to San Diego Comic-Con, and I went to the Gays and Comics panel, which they have every year. And this year it was, a 1,000-seater room. I mean, there are more and more of us, or at least more and more gay people coming out of the nerd closet, out of the second closet. So
and a lot more interaction between the hetero society and the homo society as well. There are a lot of people on the panels that we've noticed from last year to this year are in fact straight. And
there's a lot of straight people.
So it's more just being gay friendly and about celebrating diversity within the industry than it is solely about, hey, let's all fag out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like that. So
I didn't get to go this year, but were there any gay Klingons in the Gay Lifestyles play?
There has to be at this point.
Okay.
There has to be some gay Klingons.
Because I want to see that.
Because there ain't no gay people on Star Trek, so they're gonna have to do it at the convention.
I'm surprised they didn't turn the Klingon race into a big Roman orgy kind of thing, they've always had.
They're all a bit too big for that. I don't even the sweatiness would I don't even want to imagine what that would be like.
But I could just see them having their little boys and just
yeah.
That's
very Spartan.
That's what I would compare it to as ancient.
Yeah, can you imagine Worf and Alexander having a little bit of incest, Caligula?
No.
Not necessarily the incest, but I see them passing little Alexander around the room.
Yeah, there's a reason I avoid Klingon lifestyles single year. Every year there's this presentation, there's this thing called Klingon Lifestyles, which is basically a lot of vastly overweight people dressed up as Klingons reciting Shakespeare and I don't know, Moby Dick or something in Klingon language.
And I hate to pick on the one Klingon in the wheelchair, but in Klingon culture, you're supposed to kill yourself.
Yeah,
So,
there's always a Klingon in a wheelchair, which
so I don't know
goes
about
completely against their supposed Klingon culture, but whatever.
I'm sure Wesley Crusher was passed around by the Klingons.
I would have taken some Wesley Crusher back in the day. I would have been fine with that. Yeah, poor Wesley. We like Will Wheaton. We like WillWheaton.net. He's smart.
Will Wheaton.net.
He's a really cool geek. He's a smart, cool geek. We like him.
Definitely.
Well, I just wanted to say that it's not just a place for gay geeks and comics, but also it's it's not just a gay show. It's a straight show. It's a gay and straight show. So hopefully we get a little bit of point from everybody.
Homo friendly.
Yes, it's
And
homo
for women,
friendly.
that's very important.
Definitely.
Yes, we want
Fat
women to
gags.
watch the show. Because see, we have hot guys on the show. So,
No.
and we'll have other hot... Yeah, and but Tom's our muscle daddy.
I'm the goop candy.
I'm not counting myself as the hottie at all, so don't feel bad.
So we went to Comic-Con this year, and we went all over the place and saw a lot of diversity at Comic-Con this year. Big chicks, fat chicks, small chicks.
Chicks, period, is
a
a
lot
big
of
deal.
chicks. Gays, straight, Klingons, dwarfs,
Stormtroopers.
stormtroopers, dwarf
Elves.
Are
stormtroopers.
they gay stormtroopers or?
I'm sure some of them were quite gay
stormtroopers?
stormtroopers.
Yeah, everything is at Comic-Con. But again, emphasize women, a lot of women at Comic-Con.
A lot of women.
First year I started going was 2000. First year I think you went was 2001. But I mean, it was big then.
Yeah.
But
The first time me and you went, it was seriously all the chicks that were you didn't want to touch.
well, if you wanted to touch them, they were there working.
Yeah. So
They're paid
nothing
to be
was
there.
for free.
But basically, more and more people are going to Comic Con. It's becoming more of a pop cultural event. The name itself has actually become a misnomer.
Yeah.
Because it's more and more about movies, which happen to be a lot of comic book movies, but it's just becoming a pop culture phenomenon. So over 160,000 people this year made it kind of like
Nearly unbearable.
nearly unbearable, but a very big thing, I think, across the industry, any kind of media industry, whether it be comics, movies, TV, and well, here we'll show you a little bit of it.
I'm here with Andy Mangles.
The man and the legend, Joss Whedon,
And Roger here, you are the...
I'm president of Prism Comics.
Stan Winston, legend in the special effects industry.
I'm here with Tommy, creator of Pride High.
Not dressed up at all.
Pink is the color of hugs.
So ass hangs out every day.
Most days, yeah.
How does that quite work?
I feel like I am the hottest bitch here.
A lot of changes into the DCU.
Yeah.
How's that been for you guys, and where are you guys going with that? In terms, are we looking at full circle, or are we just looking for an expanded, more elaborate universe?
It's weird. Several years ago we sat down and we started to map out the course of the DC universe. And one of the first stories we told that we wanted to take a tonal change to make people perceive our characters differently was Identity Crisis. Then we led to Infinite Crisis, which we felt to be our big return to the cosmic sales type stories, the big stories, the things that DC is best known for. And if you look at the DC universe over the last few years, there's a 3-act structure. Final Crisis is the third and final act of our story.
Now, speaking of Final Crisis, I mean, you have right now, you have a lot of stuff playing out in DC Universe, with Sinestro Corps and everything like that.
Absolutely.
How is that playing into that?
There are several things going on, and even as we did when we led into Infinite Crisis, we tried to do stories that really touched upon all the iconic aspects of the DCU. In Countdown, we're going into the multiverse, something that's big and exciting, and with And with the Sinestro Corps War, we're showing the cosmic scale of our DC universe.
Annie
too.
Monitor back. I mean, a lot of big name villains.
A lot of big name villains. Well, you figure we have 3,600 Green Lanterns or 7,200 Green Lanterns these days. We need the best villains possible to put them on, and these are the guys who are going to give them the run for the money.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much longer. Man, I've been waiting all night now, that's how long I've been on ya.
I'm here with Andy Mangles, who I would say is a cross-media superstar. You've written books and comics, and now you're a DVD producer.
Yeah, according to Geek Magazine, I get cross-media superstar. I guess is a good thing. Yeah.
I think that's a good word. Going in the Wayback Machine now. You used to do the Amazing Heroes like comic book movie gossip. I can't remember the name of the column.
It was called Andy Mangles Backstage.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, you're like the father of like Harry Knowles and Dark Horizons and everyone who's doing this now.
Yeah, actually, Harry Knowles has in the past credited me as one of the inspirations for Ain't It Cool News. And when I wrote a book called Animation on DVD: The Ultimate Guide, he wrote a little blurb for the front cover that was his way of kind of saying thanks, and I thought it was
awesome.
a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I was really wondering if any of these people have ever credited that column, because you were doing it way before anybody else was doing it.
Right. Yeah. What's actually interesting is the generational thing is happening now, in that we're now the web generation and podcasts and all these things, and so I'm actually the generation before then, when it was the fanzine generation, and so it's kind of interesting to see the generational thing happening, and I expect we're about to hit something new, like plugs in the back of our heads to just stream the web in through our eyes or something. I don't know.
That would be handy.
Can you explain?
Oh no, we have a problem.
Can you feel it going fast?
No, you're heartless. There's nothing there. He's heartless, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, we're also looking at something gorgeous over here, the Iron Man thing, and we know you guys did it for the movie. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The Iron Man that we did from the movie is actually based on the original comic book Iron Man, and it's one of the most beautiful things we've ever done in my studio. I'm really excited about people saying it. It's going to be a great movie. We got a great cast and terrific director, and Jon Favreau's directing it. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, and I haven't been as proud of work we've done for a lot of years. This Iron Man just rocks.
Yeah, you guys done Predator and Terminator and now Iron Man.
It's kind of interesting because we've created so many really wonderful characters out of the studio over the years, and we've broken technical ground, and we've done everything from simple things like Edward Scissorhands to the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. And Iron Man is what it is. It's a suit.
Yes.
You
guys made it practical too.
Well, we did a suit, and this is a guy in a suit, and it's one of the most beautiful, coolest things we have ever done. And
how did it compare to like doing the Terminator to doing the Predator?
Nothing has jazzed me more than what we've done on Iron Man.
Something happening here. Yeah. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there.
You're probably the most fucked up stormtrooper I've seen today.
Me, I got to beware.
This is a battle with Tusken Raiders. They've got projectile weaponry. They don't penetrate the heavy Imperial armor.
Fucking Tusken Raiders, man.
No.
Yeah, the bantha sticks and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like, I don't know, the equivalent of cops, the guy that runs around with no shirt.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to mow them down.
That's the way we do things in the Empire, man. Regulate.
So there we had our footage from Comic-Con 2007. Like I said, first year I went was 2000, and that was kind of like the beginnings of the geek explosion in the media. Like, it's kind of weird watching this happen, because 2000 was the year X-Men came out, the first X-Men movie. Since then, every summer there's been 1, 2, 3 comic book movies. Almost all of them have been successful, even if only moderately. The geeks dominate pretty much the pop culture landscape right now in a huge way that I don't think any of us thought it would have been possible when we were younger.
Not just box office, just throwing some clout around. I mean, otherwise we would have had a terrible Superman movie.
Some people think so.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's a terrible Superman movie, unfortunately.
I like it. We pretty much all like it.
It would have been a lot worse with the infamous Krypton didn't blow up.
Oh,
No, I thought it was
example.
actually an excellent movie. I just think it was a lot of rehash of the 2 excellent movies that we had. Well, 1.5 excellent movies we had prior to it. So to me, that was my big disappointment. Was like going, it really just played off the same themes. I would have liked to see it kind of already move forward from there.
But I think what Holmes trying to say is
the geeks controlled that script. The first script that really hit the internet was the one where Krypton didn't blow up,
and Jor-El was evil.
And Lex Luthor was a Kryptonian, and
Geek Nation revolted.
As much as we hate the talkbackers,
the internet exploded that night. People were
Cracked in half.
People were like, "Oh my God, Krypton didn't blow up! I'm gonna get on my internet and bitch somebody out virtually."
Bitch out the air.
As much as we hate the mouth breathers and the talkbackers, really, they do serve their purpose in terms of like all the hate that's out there that we kind of like really have the distaste for. Does have a positive in terms of like people do eventually see that in the studios. I think definitely like when we talk to Tom DeSanto and stuff like that, it seems like he gets
they know.
Yeah.
The studio executives know what's going on in the geek message boards because they know that we spread our bile to the normal people. And even though the normal people don't go on the message boards, they don't go on the sites, they, their coworkers are geeks, and they'll start spreading bile, and this is awful, this is terrible, don't go see it, and they don't want that. We are starting to wield power. But it's not just the comic book stuff either. I mean, things like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings won the Oscar. A fantasy movie won an Oscar. Never in my wildest dreams as a kid would I have imagined that was possible.
And one of the things you brought up before too is like this is kind of, we're living in a geek renaissance, kind of a time where all the things that used to be closeted in terms of like you didn't want to like anybody know at school that, oh, I read comic books, I have all these toys in my room, you're the 40-year-old virgin, da 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 da. And there's that stigma that goes along with that. Unfortunately, I think is kind of now ending where it's like, oh, that's okay, oh, you're an elf, okay, cool, let's go see Lord of the Rings together and wait in line. And it's become like more of a social pop culture kind of thing. And I think Comic-Con is then just an
extension of that,
celebration of that.
Yeah, it's definitely hot. Yes, pointy ears can be hot. Yeah. It's just become, it's crazy. I mean, and again, back to the comic book movies, I mean, there's been a lot of people who complain about movies, justifiably, like Fantastic Four or Daredevil or Hulk. And I understand the complaints, but there's that part of me that like still is a 12-year-old kid watching this going, I can't believe there's a Hulk movie. I can't believe there's a Fantastic Four movie. These were pipe dreams when I was a kid.
And now we're going to see Avengers and JLA. Like, that blows my mind that, like, I can imagine it in an animated form, but to come across in a live action, I don't think I'd see...
Thor. We were sitting around talking about the other day. I mean, okay, people know Captain America, people know Iron Man, people know Superman, people know Batman, but Thor?
And Thor's getting a big budget movie.
Aside from their little callback in the Adventures in Babysitting with the kid wearing the Thor helmet, not a lot of non-comic book readers know anything about Thor.
Vincent D'Onofrio was a great Thor, though.
Oh, that's right, that was Vincent D'Onofrio. Oh my god, I completely forgot that. He was Thor in...
Cell?
Huh? The killer from the Cell and what the fuck? I know. Men in Black.
Steal this movie.
And
doesn't he do he was one of the CSI? No, one of the Law and Order things too.
One of those CSI Law and Order fucking shows.
The freak guy was Thor. It's interesting. What are the cast for Thor this time?
Triple H.
No wrestlers. I'm gonna go out right now and say, please, no wrestlers. You can have a wrestler Sabretooth. He doesn't really talk. But don't put your main get an actor.
You don't want Tyler Mane to be...
No, I don't want Tyler Mane to be Thor. Nothing against Tyler Mane. Tyler Mane can be Michael Myers, I don't care. But get an actor to be Thor.
And he has to be blonde.
Yeah.
No changing the hair colors either.
Well,
would be a good Thor?
I can't think of a single actor. They need to get an unknown. I can't think of a single person out there who is bulky enough and blonde enough. I mean, who could be Thor? That's a star. That would do it. They need to find an unknown.
Star, yeah.
You need an unknown, I think.
Yeah, because if they pick a star will end up with Fabio, and it's going to be, I can't believe it's not Thor. You know?
I don't think anyone wants Fabio in the movie. I don't think anyone wants Fabio.
I don't think Fabio could get the lines out.
Yeah, no. But yeah, again, Lord of the Rings is a perfect example. I guess even The Matrix is a perfect example. It was kind of the beginning.
Like, you know, when we're talking about this other day, again, with the Oscars and geek, not necessarily comic book stuff, but geek things are seeping into the Oscars. Children of Men.
Children of Men, Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth. You know, Children of Men is basically the new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
In my book, and Pan's Labyrinth is a children's fairy tale.
Yeah.
And which aren't necessarily like straight out easily identifiable, I think, as geek or nerd things, but it definitely has that kind of sensibility that comes along with the things that we've all come
Well, neither is Lost, but Lost, I mean...
Lost, I think, is very obvious in terms of, like, the sensibility of like, that kind of, the same kind of mystery elements that we always had in our comic books and all our nerd stuff that we had from kids. I think all that is very obvious from Lost. But I think, like, Children of Men isn't extremely obvious.
It's a straight-up sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
it's set in the
speculative
future.
fiction.
It's set in the future. I mean,
But it's not, like, I mean, Blade Runner is obviously set in the future. Like, Children of Men, I think you can look at today and, like, going, oh, yeah, it's fairly modern times.
Well, it's still set in the future, and it's still a sci-fi element, which is the main plot point.
It's soft sci-fi. It's not hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, it's sci-fi. And a lot of people probably who like it won't admit that it's sci-fi, but it is.
It is sci-fi.
And same with Lost. I mean, Lost has a lot of viewers who don't like to think, I don't like sci-fi. Lost isn't sci-fi. I've heard this come out of people's mouths. And I'm like, there's an invisible monster that kills people.
I think
it's a sci-fi show.
The producers and stuff like that are the geeks on there, I think they've gotten smart in how to trick the general audience into like watching stuff that we just readily accept to say, like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, that's awesome. I want to see a big ghost. Well, I don't really actually want to see a big smoke monster. I'd much rather see a big monster, but you know, that kind of premise, I think they've gotten people to kind of like accept that by adding like really good characterization and drama into it. It's like going, because really, I mean, that what I got out of Children of Men was not the sci-fi element.
Oh no,
it was really more about like the personal interaction and stuff like that. And like Clive Owen was just an excellent actor.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And like then also when they killed, what was her name, the redhead?
Julianne
Moore, like right off in the bat. I probably just spoiled it for everybody. Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah. If you're watching the show,
we only want to have viewers that have seen Children of Men minimum of 3 times. Anyway.
Yeah, seriously. It's what, August and then September. You need to have seen
if you're
Children
watching
of Men by now.
If you're watching a podcast called Nerdgasmic and you haven't seen Children of Men or Pan's Labyrinth or Lord of the Rings,
one of these.
You're probably breathing through your mouth right now.
Why are you here?
So we're gonna assume you've seen these. Sorry for the spoilers.
But back to the I guess the idea of being in like a nerd or geek renaissance. I mean, what were your thoughts, Tom, of Comic-Con?
Well,
because you haven't gone like for a good, for 2-3 years.
I've gone the past 3 years now, but that was my first time. So, just from I'm not a huge comic book fan, but just from an anthropological perspective, it's fascinating to see the influence on the general population of
Nerd
geekdom.
Yeah. That's awesome. We're taking over.
Yeah, being some of the outsider. I mean, what do you not an outsider in terms of like going somewhat new to you, I guess, in terms of like so you never were huge into comic books and stuff like that. You've always been aware of it because you're hanging around all of us all the time.
But he used to buy comics when I met him.
Then also hanging out in West Hollywood. Imagine taking that crowd and throwing that crowd in that kind of situation.
Well, there's a huge sexual element. There's no doubt about it. It's like I went to E3 a couple years ago, and it's very similar in terms of how much skin is being shown.
Yeah. Well, it's like Halloween is the excuse for girls to be slutty. So is Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I can be Slave Leia.
Yeah. Okay. How many slave layers were there?
Yeah. There's not a lot of classic Princess Leia. There's a lot of I'm in a bikini Leia.
Which I'm all for.
Right. But I mean, it's like it's a chance for people to, I guess, especially women, to dress up scantily and get attention.
There were plenty of men this year too. All
There
the
were
Spartans we saw.
Oh, because of 300. Thank you, 300.
There's plenty of man candy out there now too. For I think that I wonder, like a lot of the sayings is like the music industry to say, for rap music especially, if you hook the ladies, if you bring the ladies into it, the guys are gonna follow them. Like the big rappers that become big usually have their own like little like female cliques and stuff like that follow them. They do little girly songs and stuff like that. And then like Fabulous is a perfect example. Oh, I rap for the ladies. LL Cool J is another good example of that. And I think that our industry, in terms of the geek industry and stuff like that, I've kind of hooked onto that. Like going, okay, here, let's make this a little more palatable for women. I mean, Lord of the Rings especially, I think, is a good example.
Women love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Women love
Vito
Buffy.
and Orlando.
Oh yeah, they like them some Orlando, and Johnny. Pirates is a big. I mean, Pirates is geeky. It's a big old,
It's a magic fairy pirate
movie. There's skeletons.
I think if Luke Skywalker actually looked like he looked on the very first poster, like all ripped out like that, probably a lot more chicks would have been in Star Wars too.
Yeah, but they all liked Harrison Ford though.
Yeah.
Women love Harrison Ford.
Oh yeah, I remember my mom swooning during the
he's got
chase scene through the Death Star.
Really?
Oh yeah.
The 70s porn kind of like machismo to him.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Oh wait, just for Comic-Con and candy for us straight guys. You guys got to see it in public. I got to see it on G4. Candy Darling with
Cherry Darling.
Cherry Darling with one leg.
Cherry Darling.
Definitely one of the coolest things I've ever seen at the comic book convention was Cherry Darling. The fact that the Weinstein Company and their publicity people went out and found an actual hot one-legged girl named Lacey to actually be Cherry Darling, complete with the stripper pole. Was just
and machine gun leg.
And a machine gun leg. She actually had
Terror.
mind you, she really only had one leg. Was no oh, let's see if we can hide a leg inside of a machine gun or anything like that. No, she doesn't have a leg, and they got her dressed up as Cherry Darling and was there for the whole entire con, walking around on one leg and one machine gun.
And don't we have an interview with Cherry Darling?
Yeah,
for all of you right now. Okay, good.
A little bit of Cherry Darling.
All right, so I'm with Cherry Darling over here at the Westinghouse Company Home Entertainment booth, and I noticed you brought out your pole with you, Cherry.
Yes.
And you're here promoting the release of your movie, correct?
I am. It's coming out October 16th on DVD, Planet Terror.
Nice, and the movies are coming out separately because we know that they all came out under the Grindhouse title with Death Proof and Planet Terror. What do you hope the fans hope to get seeing the movie separately?
They need to understand that it was a double feature, that all the way back in the 60s, the movies came out in the theaters as double features. And that was this really creative idea that Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino had, to kind of bring that back, bring that whole double feature, their kind of childhood back to people nowadays who, we don't really get, a mile for $1 anymore. So that was kind of their gift to us, and now we get to buy them on 2 separate DVDs.
How's it been here at Comic-Con so far? You've been through hell already through Planet Terror. How's Comic-Con compare?
Well, it's not nearly as traumatizing. However, it is pretty overwhelming. There is a lot of people here, and I've never really seen quite the congregation of these types of people. So it's been a lot of fun.
And we can also see that you are packing heat. If you can get a shot of the heat.
This is my heat.
One of the other things that we saw at Comic-Con was a big crossover between all the different medias, just because you have television there, movies, and comic books and stuff like that, and we ran into
Joss Whedon, my idol.
And we talked to him about that because
he's doing a comic book. He obviously created Buffy, for the two of you that don't know, and Angel and Firefly, and of course Firefly became a movie, became Serenity. It's also a comic. Buffy is now a comic book, so he's like all over. I mean, that's the perfect example of someone who's multimedia geekdom, is Whedon.
We talked to him a little bit about working in all these different mediums.
Okay, we're staying here with the man and the legend, Joss Whedon, and
Jack, publicist for Dark Horse.
Publicist for Dark Horse. Oh, and you're perfect for the questions we're going to ask. So, a new series of Buffy, but in the comic book form, right?
I'm sorry, you'll have to ask my publicist.
No, yes, we are doing a season 8 of Buffy, comic book form. It's really, really good.
How's that feel as a creator to kind of see this come to fruition?
It's actually amazingly wonderful because I love to write the show so much, but filming it is now just handing it over to George. George just sends me back the pages and it's filmed.
It must be an awesome process and probably no limitations isn't on what you can actually do with it.
Well, apart from some of the more pornographic elements, no limitations, and it's really...
We're not going to get a Buffy and a Spike reprise in?
Well, actually, I guess we pretty much went porny on the show, so why shouldn't we with the comic?
Yeah, bring back the Buffy bot.
Okay.
And how's it feel for Dark Horse?
This is one of the biggest projects the Dark Horse has done in a long time. It's really exciting. It's really getting up there in the in the ranks of the comic world, and we're really, really proud to be able to bring new comic readers into the medium.
I didn't have a question. I just want to say issue number 5, a character we'd never ever met before, just like was heartbreaking. It was awesome. I was so blown away by that issue, and I think it's the best one of the series so far. So I just want to say that to you.
I'm giving you her job. Sorry.
So Eric is now a new publicist for Joss. Any other things? Rumors of Angel in the works too?
Well, that's I can't say that in the Dark Horse
I know,
booth, or flames will appear at my feet. It's a terrible thing, but yes, they'll be doing something at IDW with Angel, and of course, there will be the thing on the interweb that's already been leaked, so I can talk about it. Check out the only Sugar Shock T-shirt in the world. Nice. Sugar Shock by me and Fabio Moon is online.
Very cool. Now, we're also got another big property of yours that we haven't heard anything yet about, Serenity, in terms of comic books. Anything possibly in the horizon for that?
Yeah, I believe that horizon is later this year. The first script's already written. It's another 3-parter that Brett and I are doing.
Any plans on continuing the series in terms of like an actual whole and complete season of Serenity?
Not in the same way as Buffy. That's just too much work. I'm just one man, damn you, and 2 publicists.
And 2 publicists. Anything else you want to add, Joss? Any other great plans you got coming in film-wise?
Yes, many. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Joss Whedon, legend. Dark Horse, pick up the comic book.
Talking to him for 5 seconds because he's like my idol. That was a big moment for me. I'm sure it showed.
Didn't he have something very nice to say to you?
Yes, that was very nice of him to say that to me. I was pretty terrified. There's some people that are up there for me, and he's one of them. But he was really nice.
Really nice guy.
I nearly destroyed my cubicle when I found out that they talked to him. I wasn't there.
Wow. He'll be there next year and the year after that.
He wasn't really forthcoming and talking about a lot of stuff. I know we've all heard about his incident with the Wonder Woman script and whatnot.
Brokenhearted.
But talking to somebody working across all the different mediums like that, I always find it really kind of like interesting, and like it makes me happy to kind of see that crossover. I'm so waiting for the day where something like it becomes a real true crossover, and we start to see television shows crossing over. And
what do you mean though? Like
I mean, he kind of did, I guess, a little bit, kind of, sort of, with between Buffy and Angel, you know. But I'd like to see that. I'd like.
Oh,
to see
you mean
that.
like shows that cross over with other shows?
Shows that cross over with other shows. I mean, we're already seeing the crossover from like, okay, he's moved his shows from the television into the comic book form, and he's done. I'd like to see more of the comic books move into TV. It's like they do it a lot with movies now, but there's certain things like I think Daredevil Yellow would make the most.
That would be
I
a
think
good
probably
show.
make the best like. I mean, it's Law and Order mixed with superheroes.
Just
Essentially.
wait for the Daredevil rights to revert to Marvel.
Well, I keep on saying that Fables should be a TV show.
Oh, Fables is
another one.
completely
Maybe
needs to be a
excellent.
show.
HBO, if you're listening, please make Fables into a TV
HBO's
show.
making Preacher.
If you're gonna do Preacher, just do Fables, please.
I mean, there's been a CSI comic book, so it's like, why don't we see more of this crossover between? We're starting to see more of it, but I want to. What is driving that?
Yeah. You know what's funny though? Like the trend for comic books turning into other medium, like films and television shows, seems easier than television shows being comic books.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of people picking up the Lost comics.
Well, it's starting any
There is
kind
no
of comic book.
Lost
Lost
but
comics.
there's CSI comics and there's Star Trek comics. You know, it all depends on whether or not people, especially geeks, we're all about what's official.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get Joss Whedon to write a Buffy comic or an Angel comic, people will
Okay,
pick it
yeah.
up because you know this is the official continuation.
I didn't like the Angel comic books from IDW that they put
I
out
didn't
so
care
far.
much for them
I stopped
either.
reading them. I started collecting them. It was like
but yet we
stuff.
love Frey.
Yeah, because
Frey was
Joss
good.
wrote it,
Yeah.
and it's a, you know, it feels like it's part of the universe. If, you know, they're about to do Veronica Mars as a comic book, season 4, with the creators of Veronica Mars, I think it's great. If your show gets canceled, you know there's a fan base, do a comic book version of it. And people they'll follow it. But if you just do basically what's glorified fan fiction, which is what like a lot of these are.
Like the Trek novels and the Trek comic
Trek
books.
novels, you know, all of this stuff. I'm not slamming anyone who writes them or does them. I think it's cool, but I think the reason that they don't sell out crazy numbers or, you know, have that kind of a following is because they're not considered official.
Yeah,
You know, you
I
want
agree.
the official continuation.
I agree. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I don't buy the comic books because I don't really care about the Next Generation Gorn incident. Because
Yeah.
that didn't really exist in my mind.
not only that, but the books and the other things they all contradict each other. The one media tie that doesn't do that is Star Wars. Lucas, for whatever his faults are, keeps a tight leash on the comic books, the books, the video games. Everything has to coordinate. They can't contradict each other. And I think that gives it some sort of officialness that other media stuff doesn't have.
The problem he has is when he finds good ideas in his stuff, and Lucas in particular, like what they've done with Legacy in the comic books now, taking it actually a number of years forward and stuff like that, and apply that then to what he's doing in the other media with the cartoons and the TV shows and stuff like that. Stop rehashing the stuff that we've already seen. You do run into that. You have to be a stickler for the continuity and stuff like that. But if you do things like you did in Legacy with the comic books and took it 100 years forward, you go. The video games in Knights of the Old Republic can go 100 years back or 1,000 years back. Why
I love Star Wars Legacy because Star Wars Legacy takes place, the comic book series takes place 150 years after Return of the Jedi. And, you know, that made me interested. Like, I don't care about the books right now where, like, Luke, Leia, and Han are in their 60s. Like, I don't care about their geriatric years. Like, it's not interesting. It's like, take the story forward. And
use the Force to wipe my ass.
Yes, totally. Use the Force to make the wheelchair move around. It's not interesting to me. So I like Legacy. I like that they can do that.
Well,
that's a good example.
Lucas does some really good stuff when he sees a good idea, which is, you know, I mean, the double-sided lightsaber came in the comics first.
Yeah, came from the old Star Wars comics.
Then they gave it to the baddest Sith Lord that ever walked the planet underneath Darth Vader, of course.
Yes.
And died in one.
And
which
is the coolest thing about the worst movie. The coolest thing about the worst Star Wars movie, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul,
yeah. Will live forever in merchandising.
Yay.
Yay. And conventions. Although I didn't see very many Darth Mauls lately.
Really?
No, lots of Feds and Stormtroopers. I don't want Darth Maul. It's too much makeup.
Yeah. It's too hot down there.
But how can the Stormtroopers survive in that same...
I'm waiting for one of them to pass out. I'm waiting for there to be a Stormtrooper incident where one of them just, you know...
It sues Lucas.
Well, you saw the EMTs waiting for people to pass out.
That's insane.
Really? It's like a rave now?
Yeah.
EMTs?
There's EMTs. Like, you have 160,000 people. Yeah. Someone's going to get hurt. Something's gonna happen, especially if they're fat. Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're gonna see the little raver
We love fatties.
with the, like,
I love fatties.
pacifier in the backpack.
Yeah.
Glow sticks.
Being a plump.
I actually went to a rave. I went to a rave once at the San Diego Convention Center. So every time I'm there, I do sort of think that, like, I was here once with a little glow stick in 1996. But anyway. I'd love to. I wish they had a Comic-Con rave. That'd be awesome.
I don't know.
That's what they should do.
There's a lot of non-dancing people.
There's a lot of non-dancing people. There's some.
Can you imagine the pork
well, that's always one of the things I'm always disappointed is like the mixer after the gays and comics panels. I'm like, I'm sorry if like, you follow the stereotypes. Like, where's the little disco ball coming down and like the dance floor that rolls out or something like that?
Let's clarify that for people watching. The gays and comics panel, which is a great panel that they do every year, is probably one of the few really intelligent discussions that goes on at Comic-Con every year. But it's the only panel that has a mixer afterwards. I sort of roll my eyes and I kind of love it at the same time.
I love the gay mixer.
I love there's a mixer.
I think mixer is just on its head a gay sounding word.
It is totally. It's totally. Yeah.
But where's my cocktails? Where's my disco ball?
But that's a panel I love to go to every year.
I love going to it. I love that it was so big this year again. You know, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know, I guess. Yeah, that's our audience. So yeah. I'm sure some of you were there.
And you know, I'm a straight guy, and I still will say that there needs to be more gay characters in comic books. So you know, and more than just the leader of Alpha Flight, and who's dead now, right?
No, he wasn't the leader of Alpha Flight. It was North Star.
Oh, it was North Star. Sorry.
Who's the next man?
I don't know. I have issues upon that. I think so much so with the Batwoman thing, hoopla, where. Now, DC is really good about diversity, and they've always taken a part in the panel and stuff like that. I'm really against fake diversity and forced diversity. Like, I appreciate diversity. I sometimes search out in my life because I just like different things. But, like, when it's like going, oh, we have to include more gay characters, more Latino characters, more this or that, it's like,
but...
I'm not saying for forced PC-ness, but, you know, what they did was the same thing with the Batwoman thing in 52. Was like, the Montoya thing was great.
Yeah.
You know, she was a lesbian character, but it wasn't like... Yeah, I mean,
and that came from like a straight creator too. Yeah, I think it's just finding good creators and stuff like that. Greg Worker's work, I think, is just excellent. It's like he just doesn't want to. I think as a creator, you just don't want to do anything that's expected of you. So it's like, okay, let me do this, let me do that, and that's when you start to force diversity, then it's like, it's because it's being expected of you. And it's like going...
Yeah, but I mean, we talk about forcing diversity, but still the majority of superheroes are white.
Yeah, I know.
To this day, I mean, it's not like...
Well, because also you work in a medium that continues, like, it's like you can't kill off and make a new Superman.
No,
it's
not
gonna work.
with him, but...
Ultimately, like, even like with the Question, and like killing off the Question and turning the Question into one that's a woman, a Latina gay woman is now the Question.
I love it.
Yes.
Which is kind of awesome on its own, but at the same time, it's like going, I kind of miss Charlie. I miss the old Question and stuff like that. At least with DC now you have
He's on Earth something now.
Yeah, now we have 52 Earths, so we'll actually get the hell out of that, and that's a nice way of fixing that.
Well, I would like some more diversity, obviously, because I'm ethnic, and every Halloween I have a choice. If I get to be like an Asian mutant, I get to be Sunfire, where I have to wear like a catfish head. I mean, thanks. I mean, could I have like a non-lame Chinese character at some
You
point?
could always be Asian Superman. We saw plenty of those
Dude,
at the con too.
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid is white.
You know, that's
Karate Kid and Legion of Superheroes.
There's two Karate Kids. One's Asian now.
I know.
Let's not even get
You
into
can always
that.
be Sulu. It never goes.
Sulu and Spock never go out of
You
style.
can do your Sulu with your Lorena Blanc.
Lorena Blanc.
No.
The White Queen.
We love George Takei.
We keep referring to Lorena Blanc, which is his poodle.
Lorena Blanc, the White Queen, is his poodle.
And
We're not making it up.
And this
for
is
real.
This is him saying it before he came out, and like we were like, Sulu, who are you, Sulu? Who are you fooling? Who are you hiding from?
Yeah. What closet? There was no closet on the Enterprise. Everyone knew.
Yeah.
We all knew. But that's cool. I'm glad.
I'm actually, that's one thing I am happy about, is like going that there's no more, I guess, hiding behind the like stereotypes of like going, we have to have it this way and stuff like that. I mean, I still don't like forced diversity, but I think as we see more diversity, you're going to start to see more of the diversity on the creative side of things too, where like going, like Paul Levis was talking at the Gays and Friend was like going, he didn't even know such and such was gay. And like, it just like, because like people kept their personal lives separate from their work lives and all this kind of stuff that he was talking about. And that's the one thing that I actually kind of like, because I like the gossip of all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, who's coming out? And like, it's also just, I like people that would be able to be themselves and not like feel like they have to like hide behind any kind of thing. And like going, I celebrate the fact that I'm a nerd and I'm a geek and stuff like that. I don't think I have to like wear it on my sleeve and like,
I feel like
I think
tape on my glasses and stuff like that. But like, somebody comes to my house, they'll automatically see they have toys all over the place and stuff like that. Like, I know outwardly I don't necessarily present that image, but
I do.
Yeah. Some of us do, some of us don't.
I do.
Muscle Daddy doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
I do when asked.
Well, I'm not the kind of geek that you guys are. I'm more into film and,
Yeah, but you don't wear it, but their film geeks like love to wear their film geekness like Logan does.
Yeah, you don't have an Eraserhead shirt.
You don't have an Eraserhead shirt, you don't really do any of that stuff.
Both me and you can like go down to like West Hollywood, Boys Town, any of those, any of the clubs down in LA and stuff like that, and fit in with the scenesters and the hipsters and all those kind of people.
I don't.
And then like we can come sit here and talk about our geek stuff and like I personally that's the kind of diversity that I like. Sometimes I like to go hang out with the superficials and and then sometimes
the superficials.
The superficials.
It's like
for the most part.
Superhero team. the superficials.
Because I don't want to deal with everything. I just want to go out and have some fun, and they're fun people for the most part. But if I go down to the Getty and stuff like that, unfortunately I see more and more of those people down there, and this kind of freaks me out.
Well, I don't think that I look like the stereotypical geek, because I've got some Asian going on. And I don't have.
Because Asians aren't geeky at all.
Well, no.
That's not what I mean. You know what though? I make jokes.
Asian isn't almost like it's not exactly like geeky. It's just like you're born that way.
You're good at math.
Yeah, it's kind of like, no, I actually suck at math. But
it's not even getting that much. I like at math.
Yeah, but
other thing about the show is about fighting the stereotypes. I think all of us like fit
Fighting
the stereotypes in a certain
them.
way.
Yeah, I like to give it to
I
offer a bowl of rice to everybody I meet, and
make them take off their shoes.
In your case, top
ramen.
Top ramen.
Top ramen. No, that's actually Japanese.
I never met a stereotype I didn't like.
Huh?
MSG.
MSG? Oh god, I was in a Chinese market. I nearly bought a bag of MSG because I was like, I'm not allergic to it. I can use it.
The best part about have you seen The King of New York with Christopher Walken?
Oh no.
The best part is they're smuggling Coke in this Chinese restaurant, but it's labeled as MSG.
It's so racist.
No, there were selling bags of that shit. That's a tough.
No.
No, that's hilarious.
Really? That's so 80s
Great.
racism.
Oh, God.
It's still like okay to be racist against Asians.
Oh,
Rush Hour
Hot
3.
Pocket.
Hmm?
Fuck
The
you,
Hot Pocket commercials, yeah.
Oh, but let's not get into the movie that was the bane of our. We didn't see it, but we both hated it, and
We bonded over Rush Hour?
No, not Rush Hour.
What?
I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Oh, God.
The most blatant fucking homophobia, thinly veiled as, well, it was, saying that it was pro-gay, but it was very thinly veiled homophobia. And I really thought that we had come to the point where white people, doing Asians.
Oh,
was
God, yeah.
Didn't we determine that as being like really offensive?
Yeah, Adam Sandler doing Asian guy.
It wasn't Adam Sandler.
No, it was Fred Schneider.
Not Fred Schneider.
Rob
Fred Schneider.
Rob
is
Schneider.
from the B-52.
Fred Schneider, sorry.
Rob Schneider.
Got me a Chrysler. It's a 20.
And I mean, what's crazy about it is it's Adam Sandler's like 10th movie to cross the $100 million mark.
Yeah, he has his fan base that just, will see anything that he's in, of like dudes.
Honestly, like I sit there looking at it. To me, this stuff's funny. I don't take it seriously. It's not there to like save the world. Like it's not highbrow by any means.
Oh, no.
I haven't even seen it. It's not saying I'd watch it if it was on cable, but I'm not gonna like go out and seek it out. I don't find it. I think there's a lot more other things that are out there that are vastly offensive. Compared to.
Well, the problem is it's not very well written. If it was clever and funny, it'd be
That's my main issue with it. Is like that
South
is not
Park
that.
makes fun of like everybody, gays especially, and that they're not anti-gay. That they're making fun of the stereotypes, and it's different. You can always get the sensibility.
I don't think they were anti-gay. I think they were just lazy. I think they saw something. They said, "Well, let's do this. We haven't done this." Because the same thing like with the movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. Boat Trip.
Oh God! That just reminded me.
It's
of
like
Boat
to me
Trip.
that's like I don't think necessarily there's a malicious bone in those people's bodies.
No, I don't either.
Because there's enough gay in Hollywood we know, but I think they're just like they go, okay, what can we do that's easy?
Well, they're cashing in on an issue that's in the forefront of public consciousness right
Yeah,
now.
and it was the whole like the whole to get insurance and things like that, and like going that's the public marriage and.
But they do play. I didn't see the movie, so whatever. But I read a lot of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and basically my greatest fears were came to fruition. Everyone said that it was basically 2 hours of gay jokes, and at the end it was like, oh, gays are okay, as like the excuse for making 2 hours of gay
It's
jokes.
basically they took the format. They took the format of Shallow Hal in a way, where we're gonna make a 2 hour fat joke, 2 hours of fat jokes, and then at the end, no, he really does like the fat girl.
Right.
As
an
and
excuse.
that's still offensive. It's
all.
Well, so right now for the end of the show, we're gonna wrap up with doing our pick of the week, or what we like to call "So Good I'd Fuck It." We're gonna do this each time we shoot, and it can be from any medium, whether it be movies, TV, comics, books, YouTube, bubblegum, trading cards, whatever.
An incident that happened.
Yeah, what was your pick of the week, or what would you fuck this week, Eric?
I would fuck this movie called The Bridge, which is this documentary. You're going to find when I do these picks of the week that they're going to often be some funky, weird-ass, sick documentary because I love them. But this movie called The Bridge, this filmmaker named Eric Steele basically set up cameras for a year at the Golden Gate Bridge, which is the #1 suicide spot in the world, to basically capture people's final moments. And in the year 2004, there were, I think, 2 a month. It's really actually tastefully done. It's not Faces of Death-like, but it's creepy as hell, because you're watching people's last moments before they decide to, take the plunge. And some people look really obviously despondent, like they're about, they're going to kill themselves, you can tell. And, you got the tourists walking along, they're just like, they're up, they're getting out, they're about to jump. People still walking along, taking pictures, everybody smile. And no one helps them. It's sad.
That family photo where the guy's jumping in the back.
It's so sad. People are literally climbing over what else are they going to do out there? They're clearly going to kill themselves, and no one's stopping them. But then you have the other people, who literally, you see them smoking a cigarette, checking out their watch, making a cell phone call. I think I'm going to jump now. And they just jump, like it was nothing, like they just decided at the spur of the moment that they were going to kill themselves.
Is this out in the theaters?
It's not, it's on DVD right now. Put it on your Netflix or your Blockbuster. Well, actually, Blockbuster doesn't carry it because they're lame. But if you have Netflix, they've got it. I think it's really great. So you should check that out.
What'd you fuck this week?
I I'd fuck Fables because I recently got a job that actually gave me some money, and I went and bought all the trades that are around, and which there are quite a bit. If you haven't picked up Fables, pick up the trades because it's an amazing way to read it. It's just an amazing story. It takes all the childhood fairy tales that you know and love, and put them together in upstate in New York, in a penthouse suite, and in upstate New York, and
the animals are in upstate New York.
the animals are in upstate New York, and all the fables are in the penthouse suites that look human. But all their powers, all their fable qualities come with them, and so Beauty and the Beast are in love. So he looks human all the time. Beast looks human all the time, except when she's pissed off at him, and then he'll turn into a beast. And Briar Rose, Sleeping Beauty, anytime she pricks her finger on any type of needle, everybody falls asleep in the building, and thorns grow out of the ground. And they do some really interesting things, like Jack of Tales.
Jack of Fables.
They call him Jack of Tales, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do. But the comic book is called Jack of Fables, his spin-off comic. But Jack of Tales, the character, he's the Jack from all the stories. He's a little Jack. He's Jack Horner. He's Jack B. Nibble, Jack B. Quick. He's Jack the Beanstalk, Jack the Giant Killer. He's Jack Frost. And because he's so wide known in the Mundy, which was what they call the mundane normal humans, because everybody knows his stories, he's incredibly powerful. He's like Lestat. He can't be killed.
It definitely has like a Harry Potter feel, so it really, I think it attracts women as well. It's a big thing. How many different?
There's 8 trades out.
And it's still an ongoing series, so if you want to pick it up at the comic book store, you can do it that way.
Fables.
Pick up the trades.
Pick up the trades.
And I definitely fucked this week is, everybody can sing it with me. Flash! Ah! He's the same, everybody does! The Savior of the Universe edition. Just a big thing from my childhood. I always loved Flash Gordon. It's cheesy, it's bad, I know it. It's not Star Wars, even though it came after Star Wars. But you can't beat the music by Queen.
No.
The transfer is amazing on the DVD. I don't know if there's been a DVD out of it yet.
There's been a really crappy DVD out of it, yeah.
But this one is so crisp and clear and stuff like that. I also have an upconverted DVD player, which helps a little bit. But the transfer is amazing, so it's kind of really nice to see the big, bright, colorful, bad special effects in a nice, crisp, clear presentation. The music's all been remastered too, so you get really crisp and clean Queen singing, screaming at you through your speakers.
I have to throw in a little thing about Flash.
Go ahead.
The first guy I was ever sexually attracted to. Like the first little inklings of anything going on down there was Sam J. Jones as Flash Gordon. And I think that I'm a sucker for blondes.
With his bad, like, 70s porn hair.
Yes. Yes.
So, it's so great. I love, like, Ming's daughter in it. Like, definitely.
She's really hot.
Yeah, still my first, like, crush was probably on Princess Leia. Then she probably would take a close
She was
second.
way
Like,
hotter.
because, like, she was such a slut in the movie that,
yeah.
like, I was just like, oh, I love that. I love this sexually aggressive woman. I was like, oh, yeah, treat me bad. It's great.
He wasn't even really blonde either, which is funny. That he's like
a good dye job.
He was a dye job, and
his chest hair was like even kind of blondie though.
Was it?
Yeah.
I heard he wasn't. I heard that he really was a blonde, and
it was lighter side. Maybe
yeah, my predilection for blondes has to come from Flash Gordon. He was the first guy that's ever really like If people think it's Luke Skywalker or He-Man, it's Flash Gordon.
Well, come on, he's like the more manlier out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely pick up. You gotta have it. It's bad. We know it. We love it. Pick up Flash Gordon, the Savior of the Universe edition. It's got a little bad interview with Alex Ross because Alex Ross just likes to be all over the place. Sorry, Alex, I love your work, but
you had nothing to do with Flash Gordon.
He did artwork for the box. There's also another great piece of his that's included in it, a pencil sketch of his that is just amazing. So just for that alone, I think, and no commentary though, so not a whole lot of special features, but for a nice visual representation of it, good transfer of it, pick up the Flash Gordon Savior of the Universe edition. And now to Tom, you finish up with what you would fuck hard.
I just have 2 words, Iman Dupree. And we'll put a link to it on our webpage, MySpace/Nerdgasmic Podcast.
Yeah,
MySpace.com.
So www.myspace.com.
There's no way to explain it except to say that she takes Scrote Split to a whole new level. So,
Wow.
And there's a superhero connection because
Yeah, no, it totally encapsulates what we're trying to express with the show.
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, just search for. We'll put a link on.
So check out our MySpace page. It's www.myspace.com/Nerdgasmic Podcast. We're gonna have a website up soon, nerdgasmicpodcast.com.
Suggestions.
Suggest things you guys want us to talk about on the
Please.
show. We have more interviews coming your way. And people you want us to interview, email us. You can message us on our MySpace page. You can also email us right now at nerdgasmicpodcast@yahoo.com. Check us out.
love us.
And on a 100 show, we'll kill a hobo.
Just if you see us in person, don't touch us.
Unless you're really hot.
And then ask permission.
It's always
good. Anybody can touch me.
If you look like Flash Gordon, you can.
You look like Flash Gordon, you can touch Eric.
All you want. You know.
So that's Nerdgasmic Podcast for today. Have fun geeking out with us.
Thanks for geeking out with us. And hopefully we will see you in a couple of weeks.
More interviews coming soon. Ciao.
World control.